And Mike, I'll go ahead and start. Just
Okay.
Walt Cook, welcome back to round two. We had so much fun speaking with some of your favorite people, Nat and Laura and Stephanie. And now I've got perhaps even more of your favorite things. We're going to begin with Mike, and then we'll roll into Gwen, and then finish up with Karen. I have asked them to speak from the heart, speak from the field, um, speak of the extraordinary gift you are. So here goes, round two. Mike?
Happy birthday, Walt. What an amazing journey, an incredible time. I have known you for over 40 years. Uh, Walking in the woods with you, it's been amazing. I have to say, of all the people that I know, you have opened up nature more than anyone else because you've opened the trails, and you don't see nature unless you're on a trail, unless you're out in the woods. And that's one place that I know I can always find you. So I got a few stories. First, I want to talk about Walt, who I watched take groups, gaggles of young people out into the woods at 9 o'clock. And I knew you're starting to get a little old when it used to be that they drag out panting, sweating, and swearing long about 9:45. And then it kind of got to where they drag out about 10, and then maybe 10:15. And now it's probably 10:30 when they come dragging out saying, I can't keep up with him. And that's Walt building and doing anything out of the woods. It's absolutely amazing and wonderful. And the things that you see, the things you share with people, the joy that you bring to them is just an amazing thing to witness, an amazing thing to be part of. Uh, Definitely, I have stood on the shoulders of giants, and you're one of those giants that I stood on the shoulders of. It's been an incredible journey to be part of. Even when I've sat and listened to you say, "Well, I got involved in this nature center," and then you start talking about Cook's Trail, and I got involved in Cook's Trail, and why would you want to save a swamp anyway? And I've come to love that swamp, and that was just fantastic to see that and all the service you gave, especially in the early years. So I have an early year story too. So in the early years, the nature center wasn't well known. Remember, Walt? We were trying to do the best we could to get it out there in the community. We were just this kind of little place back in the woods. And what was a nature center anyway back then? We were a bunch of granola eating, tree hugging weird people. And so what were you doing out there in the woods? So we decided we were going to get out on the map. And the way we were going to do that is through Haunted Nature Center. Do you remember Haunted Nature Center? And when we took that trail and we spent all that 2 weeks getting ready and getting it all for the public, and they had all these creepy things and nothing that would hurt anybody, and we stayed away from them. It was just taking advantage of the nighttime and Halloween. And you got to be the devil, and that was great. You were the perfect devil, and with that, what was that, a cow skull and everything that you wore around, and you'd be shaking the pitchfork, and I'd come up behind people and hiss at them. And it was fantastic because we'd watch them hit the ground and then hit the woods running. It was an amazing time. Not and then of course we started thinking, well, maybe this isn't such a great idea to scare everybody about the dark, since we have such a wonderful nocturnal ecosystem out there, and now we've scared everybody and they never want to go in the woods. And we even had a child come back to us in day camp, and whose mom said, please don't ever tell him that this is where nature center was, because he wouldn't have come here to day camp if he had known that. So just some of those crazy stories that went around, but more than that, I think you also were fantastic about building consensus. You brought people together. You were very persuasive. You reached out. You listened. You were so quiet and just so effective in being able to build the nature center up, and the Cooks Greenway, all the stuff that you did there, Sandy Creek Park, and the work you've done there. You have truly created a legacy for people that lives well beyond our lifetimes. And people will look back and go, isn't this such a great place? and they won't know who did it, but they're by golly, they're going to have that experience, knowing that you made that possible, you reached out and brought people together has been an honor and a privilege, and it's something I applaud and will remember forever.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was beautifully said.
Yes.
All right, let
All
me
right.
introduce, if I might
Happy 90th
apologize.
birthday. Oh, you want to wait?
Well, I'd like to just interrupt briefly and just exercise my rights as moderator, and say I will never forget all of you, you too, Walt. That one of the first splosts, Gwen, when you were the mayor, I think you said to me over 50% of the dream list from the community at large is green driven. And the other thing that I wanted to say is you are about to hear from one of the Walt Cook Award winners, one of our most distinguished guests today, and two-term mayor. Got a lot of diamonds sparkling in her tiara, and she just can't wait to take her turn. Gwen Looney.
Right. That's right. Happy birthday, Walt Cook. 90 years. 90 years. And everyone who is singing your praises knows that all of those years have been devoted to a sincere appreciation for the world around you and a respect for people that no one can ignore. No one can. Mike's right. You're quiet, you're persuasive, etc. But it's your goodness, Walt. It is your goodness that makes us feel like we want to be your champion. And when I'm the worst person on all these videos because I'm lazy. I'm not out in the woods. I haven't paddled the canoe and all that. But I have sat on SPLOST committees. I have sat in a lot of meetings, and I am so proud that uh, I initiated the Oconee River Greenway Commission. But let me tell you, um, I initiated a lot of stuff. And this worked because of you. This worked because of people like you taking leadership with a sincere commitment, not to themselves, not to glory, not to having their name on a stationery, but having their footprint on our community forever. Your legacy is so huge. I mean, look at the Warnell School of Forestry. Um, you're getting ready to hear about the great love that the dean has for you. Think of the number of people that you have influenced as a teacher, as just a trailblazer in the true sense of the word. Um, well, I think you're one of the nicest, saintliest people I've ever known. I think you have no selfish bone in your body. I think you are totally committed to making the world better. And I'm so thankful that you were a part of this community because with people like you, we can do anything. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what's coming.
Thank you so much for that, Gwen. There's probably no one. I mean, I imagine that on your watch, a number of things happened that were green, not only environmentally but economically. But I hadn't appreciated exactly how close to the road your car was when these institutions were unfolding. And lastly, we're going to ask Karen Porter, who is a professor emerita. We all know her, and of course you do. But from the Institute of Ecology. But I had coffee with Karen a couple of weeks ago, and suddenly we were on her back porch, and suddenly she just kind of drifted off in her thoughts, and she turned a leaf that had made its way onto her lap over, and she just wanted to talk about all of the seeds that were on the underbelly. So she she is someone who ran away with you. If I look at the last few years as a member of the Land Trust Board and the Greenway Commission, you, Walt, and Karen, you seem to have gone into the Tallahassee Forest together, with brief appearances back out. But I look really forward, Karen, to your reflections on a golden boy.
Well, first, happy birthday, Walt. You have been my gift. Yes, indeed. We have been in the field a lot, and I've learned so much. I'm just going back to when I first met you. I think it was part of the environmental ethics program. And, I was a hardcore lab ecologist, so I thought it was nice and Gaia and everything. But the bottom line is, you had at your core, you said they've got to know nature to want to protect it and have a theory about it and understand it. And so for over a decade, your class on wilderness management was the one that environmental ethics students had to take. And of course, they loved the field trips. And your purpose was to open their eyes. This is how it works. This is what's there. You've got to understand the system you want to protect and you want to have a theory about. So you were grounding them in reality. And that was absolutely what they all needed. And, I keep thinking of Aldo Leopold and how much you appreciated him and introduced me to his writings. And all of a sudden I realized, his history is he was trained as a forester and he was sent out to manage national lands. And one of the ways to manage was to shoot the wolves, to let the game come up. And at some point realized that was not the way to manage nature. Managing it meant protecting it and letting it stay in balance. And I feel like you went through that when Alma used to say, Alma Walker said, I've got to save that swamp. And you wondered, why do we have to save the swamp? And it's because you understood it was whole part of the system that worked for us and worked for itself. And anyway, you taught me a lot when we went out into the woods, both on land trust monitoring. And then I'm going to say in 2010, maybe, we started to go to Tallahassee Forest to do a baseline, to look at what's there. And that was a 500-acre plot of land out northwest of the county. And you started a tree survey. And the tree and vines went up to over 100. You really knew. I mean, I thought, I certainly didn't recognize half of them, and you knew them, and you kept making that list. And that list went into a report, and you backed it up with the interpretation. And that was, this is a wilderness. This is an important area. And the way you manage wilderness, and you taught wilderness management, is you manage the people. You make sure that they get to see it, but not invade it and not destroy it. And I've been with you out putting in field studies, and then also the flagging of trails. And I guess I got the idea of where you were laying these out, but then I watched you start to put some in. And all of a sudden I realized how you moved with the land. And I watched how on a small scale you sculpted those trails. And also when you'd get over a tough spot and you watched your feet and you'd look up, the view was fabulous. And somehow that was your aesthetic. You knew how to create the beauty and human presence. And I just remember being stunned every time we came around a corner. It was just perfect. So I guess my only story is that when we went out relatively recently, you were well 89, we walked in, we walked up a steep, steep hill. We walked in with, you were carrying these two heavy tools, a Pulaski and a fire rake. And we got in there and we spent, oh, I'm going to say from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock doing trails, picking up rocks, picking up logs. And of course, we had to make a side trip to look at something else. And when we came out of there, I had to stop about every 3 minutes and kind of catch my breath. And you were very good about it. And we got to your little car, and I said, I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon. And you just smiled. You were fresh, and that was a good day for you in the field. And all I can say is you can still wear someone out. Like Mike said, you have the love that gives you the energy. And I was so happy and thrilled to learn, your land ethics, and also just to know I'm going to get to go out with you again once it cools down a little. And we're going to get the Blue Trail done and get people out on it. So I love you, Walt. I'm looking forward to getting out in the field, and happy birthday.
Gosh, thank you all. Any last? That's so beautiful. You three finally just tipped me over into an understanding of that's not been my life with you, Walt, but your three amigos today, plus the moderator. You have taken me to a place where, artists take many forms. They can paint some pretty pictures, and they can certainly convert clay to exquisite vase. But there's also the life artist, the person who just, if what an artist is someone who cannot let a passion go, there you are. And you three have made me believe in a way that, I thought I understood before who this Walt character was. Anyway, would you, any of you three, like to make a final comment before
I want to relay, Walt, to Karen's point, Walt is someone who believed in getting deeply involved in a project. When we were working on the Cook's Trail, Walt was and a group of us were right in the swamp up to our waist, hand pile driving those uh, 4 to 12 foot pile. They were 12-inch around at the top, and so they were bigger than that at the bottom. We had a bunch of Marines haul them in, and it was us and some inmates and volunteers and staff, and we'd get in there, and you had to set the pole up, and then you had to screw it the hand pile driver into the top of the pole. Then you had to set the pole up, and then you had to sit and pull and let that thing drive it down. And we drove those 14 footers into the dirt, probably a good 8 to 6 feet, 6'10". I don't forget how far it was, Walt. It felt like forever on occasion. And by golly, you stood there and you went through the swamp with everybody. So people will say, well, you can't see where you're going if you're in the middle of the swamp. Well, you knew exactly where you were going, and you took a whole bunch of people with you to get it done. You laid that trail out, and it was used for decades, and in such a beautiful spot. And it's still an amazing area. And that's the thing about again, following up, it's not just the mountains area and the upland areas, it's the swamp areas, that beautiful view that Karen is referring to. You really had that eye for it. And that eye, I like to think of it in terms of you not only open the world of nature up to people, you actually changed and transformed their hearts in the process. And that's such a beautiful thing to have been a part of. It was so a wonderful opportunity to spend time with you and to do all those great things, and to still have you doing those great things is also wonderful.
I just want to say one thing. We're looking back. We're looking back over all you have done and all the gifts that you have given us. But I want you to know that we are committed to your vision, to your dream for this community, for Tallahassee Forest, and we will protect and work with you on making that legacy the future of this community.
Well, with that in mind, Walt, see you at your centenarians. Boy, if you're going to enjoy your 90th, you just wait till you've got 3 digits attached to your age. Anyway.
You'll probably still outwork us in the woods.
Yes.
Thank you all so much. I can't
Thank you.
wait to wrap this up and deliver it to Mr. Walt.
Oh,
Happy
Take care.
birthday, Walt.
birthday, Walt.
Bye.